Garden Grove, just for a short time, back
Okay.
North Park.
When did your mother pass away?
She passed away when she was 58, and that was 22 years ago. It feels like yesterday.
Okay. When you were growing up with your mom and your dad, describe the kind of family relationship that you had.
We're going to object on relevancy grounds.
When you were growing up with your mom and your dad, did you experience any kind of financial struggles?
Same objection, Your Honor.
Did
My
you?
mom and dad divorced.
No, ma'am, there's no question.
Objection. That means you wait for the next question, please.
When you were, I think you testified that you were afraid of complaining about what happened to you because of the fear of losing your job or impacting your job. How important is that job to you now? And back then, how important was it?
It's everything I have. I joined Park and Recreation when I was 17 years old. I'm going to be 53 in a couple months. I got my degree in recreation. I worked really hard to get where I'm at. I've promoted 7 times. It's all I know, and I can't think of another job that I could take now at my age that would make a comparable salary.
Okay. And how are you how does your job affect the way in which you support your kids?
We make ends meet. I bought a home. I adopted 2 boys.
Object is being outside the scope.
It is not responsive. Let's have a question again. How does your job affect the way in which you support your kids?
My job gives me the financial ability and the opportunity and time to spend with my kids and get them into extracurricular activities.
Okay. So if you lost your job, how would that affect doing those things for your kids?
I feared I wouldn't be able to. I'm not sure I could afford my home. I couldn't sign them up for the activities that they liked. We'd probably have to move into a smaller home.
And what kind of activities do they like to do?
My son is in archery. He's in archery and
Your Honor, I object on relevancy grounds.
You may complete your answer.
my older son medals in archery. My younger son plays flag football.
Okay. And in what way do you make the time, because of your job, to support them by being there for them? In what way do you do that?
In Mission Bay, I oversee mostly maintenance personnel who work from 6 to 2:30, which means instead of a 9 to 5, I can work from 7 to 3:30 or 7:30 to 4. They're both out of school at 3:47. I'm home 15 minutes after they get home.
Okay.
They're not latchkey kids.
All right. And describe any difficulties you would have in supporting your children if you lost your job, like, for example, whether any of your children have special needs or that sort of thing.
Joey, my younger one, was adopted. He was abandoned at the hospital. He was born drug positive. He had tremors, withdrawals, etc. I get him checked for ADHD, things of that nature. I'm always checking to make sure that none of the things that his mom did affect him now. And if there's a treatment for it, I would do whatever I could to try and give him the best life I possibly could.
Okay, so if you lost your job with the city, if you thought you were going to lose your job with the city because you were going to making a complaint against Bob Filner, how would that affect your ability to take care of your child that has these special needs.
Objection. Argumentative meetings.
Sustain. Skip the windup, give her the question.
Yes, Your Honor.
Please, Mr. Ferrara.
I think I'll move on here.
All right.
Now, you were asked questions about exhibit number 125. Let's go to exhibit number 125. Okay. See if I can put that. Do you have that in front of you, ma'am?
I have 125.02.
Yes. And this was admitted, was it not, Your Honor?
None of the interrogatories or responses, this was read into the record.
Thank you,
All
thank you.
that's needed.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You were read question number 6.7. Has any healthcare provider advised you that you may require future or additional treatment for any injuries that you attribute to the incident? If so, for each injury state, and it goes on to say what those are. When you reviewed your answer and verified your answer, what was your understanding of what a healthcare provider was?
It was my family practitioner.
Okay. And did you know whether or not there was a difference between a healthcare provider and an expert, which may have been retained to evaluate you and give opinions about future care? Did you know the difference?
No.
Okay. And to your knowledge, has your private doctor told you that you needed or need future medical treatment for depression?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay.
Overruled. You may answer.
You may answer.
Not for a while. Just recently, she actually was depression and anxiety. I asked for medicine for anxiety.
Okay, when was this?
I had asked
He just asked you when.
I was just going to say, I don't remember, I'm not sure. It was not shortly after the incident, and I didn't want to talk to her about it.
Okay. And to your knowledge, is your healthcare provider, your family practitioner, is she a psychiatrist or a psychologist?
No.
Okay. All right. Bear with me, Your Honor, just going backwards on my notes. Okay, exhibit number 113. If you can go to that.
I don't have it.
Oh, it's in evidence, okay. Let's skip that. I'm misinterpreting my notes here. The defense counsel asked you questions about your conversation with Kathy Ruiz. Remember that?
Yes.
Those questions. And one of the things that I think he asked you was whether or not Kathy Ruiz told you that you had a duty to report the incident that you encountered with Mr. Filner. Do you remember that? Those questions?
I don't remember her saying I had a duty. I remember her saying that that's there for you. That was my interpretation, but I don't remember exactly what was said.
Okay, you're a supervisor for the city, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about exhibit number 16, I believe it is. which, if you can bring up for us, please, which is the memo, the July 12th, oh, July 1st, 2012 memo. And do you recall reading this at all?
Of course.
Okay, let's go to the very last page on the memo, if we could. And let's go to the page before that. Sorry. And the page before that, sorry. I'm looking for the duty to report, or the report. There it is, reporting a violation. All right. In reading this, did you understand that this part of the policy that the city had relates to other people rather than yourself
That's
reporting?
how I interpret it.
Okay, so if another person came up to you as a supervisor and said, I've been sexually harassed under this policy, you would have to report that, correct?
Correct.
But if it happened to you, you had the option of either reporting it or not reporting it, correct?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
Leading and suggesting.
Okay. Based upon your understanding of the policy, what was your understanding of what you were required to do, if anything, if you suffered some sort of sexual harassment by someone, as a supervisor, as a city employee?
It was my interpretation that it would be up to me whether I wanted to report it or not.
Okay, and did you feel that you would be disciplined if you didn't report being sexually harassed yourself?
No.
Okay. And those are all the questions I have.
Anything further, Mr. Schaefer?
Just a few questions, Your Honor. Kenzie, if you could look on page 61, lines 3 through 8, and Mark, if you could, and that's of your deposition. Ms. Martin, if you could play that.
Are you aware that the city had a process for reporting any type of inappropriate behavior of a sexual nature in the workplace by going to the EIO office? You were aware of that?
Yes.
In addition to the training you've had, you've been to numerous equal employment opportunity tailgates, is that correct?
Everything in that document is what we get on both sexual harassment and EEIO.
He just asked you whether
Yes.
you've been to tailgates now.
Not tailgates, no.
Well, you've been to many, many courses about sexual harassment reporting.
No.
You have not.
We get memos.
You haven't had at least 5 separate trainings on sexual harassment?
I believe that at our level, we get the memo that we read. I'm not recalling actual trainings. That's what we have to put our employees through, but I don't know.
Okay, you can play the same deposition deposition transcript. Page 61, line 20.
Do you request permission to play it?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm asking that. Could we play that? It's 62, line 7.
You may read, you may show it.
Had you, before meeting Mr. Filner at the park or Claremont Bays, had the city's sexual harassment training? Yes. And you've been with the city many, many years. Have you had that training more than once? Yes. Approximately how many times have you had that training?
I don't know off the top of my head. I know it's been more than once. I don't know.
Can you give an estimate?
At least 5.
Any further questions, Mr. Schaefer?
It's my last question, Your Honor. Last comment. I'm showing Exhibit 11 to your deposition. We recognize that as a risk claim that was filed in this case,
Yes. Yes.
and the date we filed that, ma'am.
Your Honor, this is beyond the scope. Objection.
It's the same. Well, let me ask you this. As of August 26, 2013, were you demanding of the city $500,000?
Objection. Beyond the scope.
Sustained.
No other questions, Your Honor.
Anything further?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Mr. Kraus,
Thank
next
you.
witness, please.
Actually, I'm going to be doing it, Your Honor.
What's that?
I'm going to be doing it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
Mr. David.
yeah, Stephen Hadley.
Deputy Brandon Hadley, please.
Your Honor, may I retrieve the deposition transcript?
By all means.
And Your Honor, you should have Mr. Hadley's.
I have it. Thank you so much.
Please stand here, raise your right hand.
No matter how petty the one is, swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Please state and spell your name for the record.
Stephen Hadley, Stevenhadley.
You may inquire of Mr. Hadley.
Mr. Hadley, you're currently employed by the city of San Diego.
That is correct.
And what do you do for the city at this point?
I'm the committee consultant for the Charter Review Committee that the City Council President chairs.
And who is the city council president at this point?
Sherry Leitner,
Okay. How long have you had that position?
since last January, about 15 months.
When did you first start working for the city of San Diego, Mr.
In
Hadley?
2000,
Okay. What was the position you had then?
council representative,
Who'd you work for?
Harry Mathis, Councilmember Harry Mathis.
Of the council members that you have worked for, which council member did you work for the longest?
Councilmember Donna Fry,
And how long did you work for council member Donna Fry, and during what period of time?
approximately 8.5 years, from June of 2001, and then there was a break from about July 2003 to July 2004, and then I was back until the remainder of her term, which would have ended December of 2010. The first 2 years I was a council representative for her. The last 6.5 years I was her chief of staff.
Let me move ahead to late 2012. Okay. Did you take a position on Mayor-elect Filner's staff at that time?
Yes, I did.
And what was the position you took?
Deputy Director of Open Government.
And when did you start that position?
Would have been December 3, 2012, inauguration day.
And who was the Director of Open Government?
Donna Fry.
And who was it that asked you to come to work in that position?
Donna Fry relayed a message from Vince Hall, the chief of staff, who I heard from later himself, welcoming me aboard the team.
Was it Mr. Hall that interviewed you for the team?
I was not interviewed. I was a direct hire.
And tell me, what did the Deputy Director of Open Government do at that point? What was your job?
I assisted Ms. Fry in our efforts to create a website that would contain documents, information for citizens to be able to get involved in the civic affairs, report complaints, but most of all documents pertaining to contracts, how to get more documents, rules regarding the Brown Act and other open government laws that facilitate the hearing, the noticing, the sharing of information. We answered questions to that regard as calls came in. There was a grant that was applied for that was not accepted. We picked up some constituent work as well. Mine particularly would have been up in the north of 8 in the communities of Mara Mesa and Rancho Bernardo, things like that.
And you were employed in this position until what date?
April 26, 2013.
And have you worked continually with the city since April 26, 2013?
No, I was unemployed until interim Mayor Todd Gloria took office, which would have been September, right after Labor Day, later that same year.
But you've been with the city ever since, I take it?
About a month after interim council member Ed Harris left, and then I returned to work with Sherry Leitner.
Let me ask you this, when you worked for the city of San Diego, did you take any training in sexual harassment?
I have several times because it's due every 2 years or so, yes.
Now, initially, in this case, you did voluntarily contact Daniel Gilliam, true?
I did.
And you also were contacted by folks from the city attorney's office, true?
Yes.
You said your last date was April 26, 2013. April 26, 2013 was your last date with the city. Did you talk to somebody before that about what your plans were?
Yes.
All right, who'd you talk to?
A couple of people, actually. I spoke with Vince Hall after Donna Fry resigned and left the office. She left, I believe, April 2, and I went down on the 5th of April down the hall to Mr. Hall's office and asked him if I could be transferred to a different department. I felt like I needed to leave for the same reasons that she did.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the things you did when you were working on Mayor Filner's staff. Every so often, did the city have what's called City Hall office hours on Saturdays?
Saturday morning office hours, yes.
How often would that happen?
Once a month, first Saturday of the month. And they started, I believe, in February of 2013.
Were you present at some of those?
Yes, I was present at the one in February of 2013 and then again in March 2013.
And when you were present at some of these meetings, did you see Mayor Robert Filner there?
Yes.
And did you get what was the purpose, if you could tell me, for the Saturday office hours at the city? What was your understanding?
The mayor was, making himself available to listen to people, and then staff would follow up on the concerns and requests that they had. So people would line up outside the door of City Hall in the plaza, and one by one or by individual groups or whatever come in and meet with the mayor and present their concerns, their questions, and a staff member would accompany each individual or two or three, the group that came in, and then keep track of their requests, their concerns, and try to follow up on it.
And you were the staff members that was involved?
I was one of the staff members who would, accompany people in and sit with Mr. Filner as they visited with him.
So you got a chance to watch the interactions between then Mayor Filner and the people that would come in to talk to him, I take it?
Yes.
Okay. And you got a chance to watch his interactions between women that would come in to talk to him?
I did.
Okay. Did you see anything about his interactions with women that caused you some concern during the Saturday office hours?
Yes.
What did you see?
I noticed a difference between his listening and not showing as much interest as when women would come through who appeared to be more attractive or in running shorts, and then he would sit up and lean in and the smile got larger, and he would begin to inquire not only about the issue or the concern that they had, but about the presence of a boyfriend or a husband in their life. And if there wasn't one, or if they seemed to be quite busy or not involved in the woman's life, meaning he would ask, so I guess they're kind of really nice to let you do all this community work, and it keeps you kind of busy and it keeps you away from, your husband or boyfriend. And if the woman acted like it was fine or there wasn't a boyfriend, then he would offer to get out to their place of business or where they worked or whatever the concern was and meet them there and begin to follow up. And there was a certain amount of uncomfortableness on the part of some as they began to realize that this mayor, who had a lot of work to do, was showing. Sorry, Your Honor.
Please stop you there. I'll just ask you, did you see, what type of reactions did you see and hear from some of the women that he would make these comments to?
I remember specifically two women, business owners, who came in together who were expressing discomfort, surprise, nervousness at his inquiry on the way out the door of City Hall, because I would accompany them out and would help them out the door. So.
Did you say anything to anybody about what you saw there with his interactions between certain women?
I would report that immediately to Donna Fry, who was my superior.
Was there anybody else in this open government unit other than you and Ms. Fry?
No.
During your time working for the city, did you also accompany Mr. Filner on trips where he would visit certain city facilities?
On at least 2 occasions I did.
Let me take you to around March 9th, 2013, thereabouts, on a Saturday. Did you and Mr. Filner and members of his security detail visit an environmental landfill?
Yes, and it was March 9.
Right. And this is Saturday, right?
Correct.
Any members of the mayor's staff besides you that visited this landfill?
No, there were members of the Environmental Services Department staff who, strictly speaking, are reports to the mayor, but from his office, I was the only one.
And which landfill did you visit?
This would be Miramar.
And when you went there, what was the purpose for going there, at least as far as you were concerned?
It was an educational tour for the mayor to see the recycling, the disposal, the composting, the energy plant that's there.
I take it, is this a landfill in operation on Saturday?
Yes, it is.
So how did you get around this area, the landfill?
The mayor, the security detail, and I met with the Environmental Services Department staff and got in a van that they had brought out, and we went from one site in the landfill to another in this van.
Did you see an interaction between Mr. Filner and a woman employee at the landfill?
Yes, I did.
And where was that you watched? What happened?
That would have been at the stop with the composting, the mulch, the wood chip, where greens have been recycled and were being made available to the public.
And what did you see and hear happen between the mayor and a woman who was near that compost pile?
As she explained to the mayor the amount of material that came in and the different kinds of material that had been recycled and the amount of material that went out of the landfill was, given or sold to the public, and the number of public that came through, he interrupted and began to ask again about the presence of a boyfriend or a husband in her life and how available he was to her. And
anything else that you actually heard?
no, I mean, other than her trying to bring him back to the subject at hand.
Was she successful?
Eventually she was.
And what did you notice anything about the reaction of this woman? By the way, was she in uniform?
No, she was, there. It was a rainy kind. It wasn't rainy, but it had just rained. It was muddy. I do recall she had on boots. The rest of us didn't, and I had wished that we had. And so, I remember the boots. I think she was just in whatever khakis they wear out at the landfill. That might have been a uniform, but she was introduced as in charge of that piece of the landfill.
And so, when the mayor is talking to her about this, what did she look like while it was going on?
To me, she appeared uncomfortable, annoyed, completely surprised, frustrated as she tried to get him back on subject and more interested in the subject matter she had prepared to share with him.
Which was the composting process.
Composting process and output.
Later on, were you able to determine the name of this employee?
Yes, I was.
And what was her name?
Renee Robertson.
After you saw this out of the landfill, did you report what you saw to anybody?
I called Donna Fry on the way home, yes.
And what'd you tell her?
I told her exactly what I've told you, that we were out at the landfill. There was a woman who was in charge of the composting. She was trying to share information with the mayor. The mayor was asking questions that Ms. Fry had heard me tell from Saturday morning office. I mean, it was the whole routine of checking out availability and the presence of a man in the life and how uncomfortable the woman was.
to talk to Donna Fry about these incidents that
She was my direct supervisor.
What I mean is, why did you feel that you needed to talk to her and tell her about it?
Early on, even in December of 2012, individuals had come to Ms. Fry worried because the mayor.
Did you think that, you're familiar with the city's EEO policy, right?
Yes, I am.
Did you think that anything that the mayor had done had impacted that policy in talking to these women at the landfill?
Yes.
And was that a reason why you reported it to Ms. Fry?
Me.
That would be part of the reason that I reported to her.
I have no further questions.
Ross?
Mr. Hadley, you said the person at the landfill that Mr. Filner was talking to is Renee Richardson?
Robertson, yes.
But at your deposition, did you not identify this person as Renee Johnson?
Yes, I corrected that in the amendment that I have. I'm better with faces and activity and what people say than I am at names.
And did you ever actually go to Miss Robertson
Sorry.
and ask her whether she had in fact been made uncomfortable by the discussion that took place?
No, it was obvious to me, so I didn't follow up with her, and I wasn't a supervisor, and I was in no position for her to report to me anyway.
The answer to my question is no.
No.
And I just want to make it be clear here. You said that Mr. Filner said how he was available. What were the exact words?
No, he was asking about the availability of men in these women's lives. And then he was available to come out and meet with, not Ms. Robertson, but with the two business owners specifically that I mentioned and others. He was available to come out. In fact, he wanted to come out to their work, their place of business, and get better acquainted with their work and with them.
All right, but as far as Ms. Robertson, you didn't hear him say anything about Mr. Filner being available?
No.
Okay. And I take it you certainly didn't see Mr. Filner touching Ms. Robertson?
I did not.
And how did you communicate with Ms. Fry about this incident? Was it writing, email, verbally?
I think I just explained that I got on the phone with her on the way home from the landfill and talked to her verbally.
You didn't follow up, though, with anything in writing?
No.
And the women that you saw, I think it was 2 Saturdays for these meetings, do you know their names?
I do not know I know a first name of a couple of them. I do not know the last names. And I do not believe they're wished to be identified, but I could find that information for you.
Did Vince Hall tell you you were being let go?
No.
Did he tell you you just had a period of time to find a new job?
Yes. My position was being discontinued.
And did you later on get involved in a campaign political campaign to try and get Mr. Filner to resign?
A recall effort, yes.
And did that include T-shirts, petitions, and those type of things?
Petitions.
Were you angry about the fact that your position was eliminated?
No, I actually offered to leave the office, so I actually wanted out of the office. I would like to have had another job, but I wasn't angry about my position being eliminated.
But because there was no new position for you, you ended up being in unemployment?
Yes.
Was one of the positions you had was responding to constituents, letters,
Yes.
and do you recall there being expressed to you that you were not performing that job adequately?
I'm trying to recall. No.
Do you remember there being like piles of letters that were not responded to constituents?
Yeah, when we left, when I got into the office there, it wasn't quite clear what we were doing, and so to fill time, we started responding to emails, and when someone else came along to actually eventually put the staff together, they found people to do specific functions that some of us were picking up in the interim as they built the team, and when I handed that off to someone else, there were about 1,400 emails that hadn't been responded to yet.
Did Mr. Hall ever raise with you some performance issues?
Not that I recall.
Not that you recall?
No.
Okay. Last thing, thank you.
Anything further, Mr. Mitchell?
No question.
Okay, sir, you are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I think it's appropriate to break for the day, ladies and gentlemen. I know it's been a long day, and we're going to send you home 5 minutes early. That doesn't change the fact, however, that you're still bound by all the admonitions. Please remember them, each and every one of them, throughout the course of the trial. Don't form or express any opinions about the case. No independent research of any sort, no inquiry, internet aided or otherwise. And please, ladies and gentlemen, don't discuss the case